Good evening. Huh. Nintendo has its A-list franchises like Mario, The Legend of Zelda, and Splatoon, series that get constant new releases in the modern age. Then you've got their B-listers like Metroid or Pikmin, by no means obscure or unloved, but releases are a bit more sparse. Then you've got the C-listers, series kept alive solely through cameo and re-releases. This is your Earthbounds, your Punch-Outs, and most notably Star Fox. Unlike the other series it's associated with, Star Fox is by no means short of games. It has been around for over 30 years with half a dozen releases under its belt, which would make you think it's a bigger deal, but the last release in the series was over 10 years ago. Of course I'm familiar with some of the characters from stuff like Smash Brothers, the Mario Galaxy movie, and gay porn, but I've never actually played any of the games in the series. But today I intend to change that. As the series is always on the periphery of my vision, I've always been interested in trying it, and hey, there's nowhere better to start than the first game. That is, at least if we're going by Metacritic score. This game was developed and created by Argonaut Software, a British development studio that had previously worked with Nintendo on the game X for the Game Boy. Better than X for the smartphone. Argonaut had also previously created Star Glider on home computers, this being a space shooter where you would hunt down opposing crafts. The game was received extremely well, and around this time Argonaut ended up helping Nintendo on piracy protection for the Game Boy. The two came together to work on a project titled NES Glider, allegedly a port of Star Glider to Nintendo's then recent system, the NES. Unfortunately, the tech just wasn't there at the time, so the project was allegedly reworked into Star Glider's sequel. This didn't deter Argonaut and Nintendo from collaborating, as they attempted the same project early into the Super Nintendo's life, but once again the tech just wasn't there. Determined to make this work, Argonaut practically begged Nintendo to allow them to create a special chip that specialized in 3D image rendering, which would later go on to be named the Super FX chip, something that would later go on to be used in the cartridges for Doom, Stunt Race FX, and even Yoshi's Island. By this point in development, the project had taken on a life of its own, and was turning into its own unique game, mostly due to the influence of Nintendo. Argonaut built the house, but Nintendo painted it, and a lot of the names you recognize have their print on this project, most notably Shigeru Miyamoto. He wasn't interested in creating a standard sci-fi story, opting to combine the setting with anthropomorphic animals like Disney's Robin Hood or Zootopia. The characters were designed by Takuya Imamura, an artist that had previously worked heavily on F-Zero and A Link to the Past, and would go on to work on Majora's Mask. He very much defined the look of a lot of the most iconic games in this era of Nintendo, and while Miyamoto might have conceptualized it, Star Fox is very much Imamura's baby. The character designs are absolutely stellar. There's a reason they're still popular to this day, and it's because of more than Furaffinity. This vibe of cartoony animals and badass space gear is something I'll never get tired of, and I think these figures created specially by Miyamoto bring it all together. Look at these art pieces, they sell the concept more than gameplay ever could. This painting of Team Star Fox for Nintendo Power might be just as iconic as the original box art, although there's this weird detail where they gave everyone robot legs here, probably as a misunderstanding of their steel-toed space boots. You can see a lot of this creativity in the game's manual, where most of the backstory is detailed. A scientific monkey man named Andros advanced the planet Corderia into an advanced age, but was exiled due to endangering the planet's people. He fled to the planet Venom, rebuilt it, and vowed revenge on the planet that cast him out. See what happens when you let furries run free? We need the Star Fox team. See, that's a tagline. What the hell was the last Star Wars movie's tagline? Every generation has a legend. Newsflash, most legends don't need to express their legend status. It's like labeling yourself a modern classic. It's desperate.
Stupid Star Wars game. Bullshit.
There's a bit more to the story, but most of that's in-game. Getting to the title screen, Star Fox. Well, it's accurate. Pepe truly looks like he's seen the horrors of war, and why is Falco giving me the stink eye? We were chill last time we met. Pressing start takes you to a screen where you pick your controls, a feature that might be taken for granted today, but was probably a godsend when the game was released. You have to remember that 3D gameplay was foreign at this point in time. Humans weren't ready for a third dimension in the 90s. You're also able to jump into a test level, another fantastic inclusion to let you get your hands on the game's controls. You've got a boost, brake, standard shot, and bombs. Nothing fancy fancy, but it feels good, which, for the era, makes it extraordinary. You can also use the shoulder buttons to rotate the ship, and if double tapped, you can do what the game calls a barrel roll. You know, the movement you technically perform is actually called an Aaron roll, a move where you rotate 360 degrees across the width of the craft, whereas a true barrel roll is across both the width and the length of the craft. This has been today's Big Deuce fun fact. That fact was fun in the same way I'm fun at parties. Jumping into the first level, I'm shocked. When you hear that this is one of the first console games to take place in the third dimension, you probably imagined something absolutely horrible. But this game does the impossible. It feels cool. I know that looking at this collection of corn chips in a crisp 240p probably doesn't inspire you, but the way the game hypes you up with this introduction and music rules. Starting on the surface of a planet where you can fly past these walkers and buildings really sets up the speed that you're going at, something that wouldn't be as evident in the darkness of space. It might seem small, but I think it goes a long way. The second level takes place inside the cockpit, and while the controls are the same, I am way less of a fan of this playstyle. It makes it extremely difficult to judge when something's coming at you until it's in your face. I imagine this is a holdover from the game's roots as a port of Starglider, but I think that this works way much better in that game. Starglider isn't a rail shooter, and there's way more on screen during Star Fox gameplay than Starglider's, with the slight lag making it near impossible to dodge anything coming at you. It's nothing horrible, but I would prefer if the whole game stuck to the third-person perspective. That being said, from an aesthetic level, it's pretty neat. Sure, I'm being pelted with asteroids every 2 seconds, but it feels like I'm getting pelted with asteroids every 2 seconds. In the third level, you go against Andross' Space Armada, where you're tasked with flying into the cores of these ships and taking them out, and man, this kicks ass! There's these panels you shoot to change the path, and speeding through these tunnels of the ship are exhilarating. It's like driving into oncoming traffic. This really demonstrates what I think this game is best at: set pieces and spectacle. While the moment-to-moment gameplay is fairly standard, all things considered, the game dresses it up with these cool moments that keep you constantly engaged, something that spacefaring games to this day fail to understand. Nobody wants to fly through deep space where nothing is happening for 10 minutes. They want to be doing the cool action hero stuff. This may sound like I'm picking on a specific game, and I am. In fact, the very one you're thinking of, and you have really bad taste for liking it. Shame on you. The next level takes place on an asteroid base, and it continues the trend of cinematics with you flying next to these walkers and going through these bay doors. It genuinely plays at the perfect speed to make you feel like you're a badass while still being controllable. It almost makes you forget you look like this while playing. Every once in a while, a member of Team Star Fox will have someone hunting them down, and if you save them, they'll fight alongside you. I almost wonder if this is inspired by how you get an extra ship in Galaga, given how influential that game was, but that's just speculation. The additional members of your team are mostly for show. They don't help out a whole lot in battle, but them even being present and quipping really plays into the feeling of being a part of the squadron. The rest of the game is in the skies of Venom, then the surface of the planet, and what the hell is going on here? There's so much bullshit happening on screen, and I don't have any idea of what this could represent. It's absolute nonsense, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't very fun. These last levels are really the only times I could feel the console's limitations. In some sections where there's a lot on screen, it really struggles to run. It's never bad enough that it affects gameplay, but woof does it not blow up well. The final level takes place against the monkey scientist Andross. Weird looking monkey. In the game over screen, we get to see his intended design, but I imagine making something that looks anywhere near this with the limited tech of the time was near impossible. The thing is, I actually like this design of the character way more than his illustrated one. It feels more surreal and sci-fi, almost you're coming face to face with a being beyond your comprehension. I'm just saying, there's a reason his assist trophy in Smash looks like this, and not his later designs. Taking him on is one of the most simple boss fights in the game, with you just having to fire at the weak points and avoid the office ceiling tiles it spits at you. After depleting the shields of Andross, his face spreads apart and we get to see a cubic primate, every man's dream. One bomb and escape sequence and a conversation that sounds like it was recorded over a tin can later, we roll credits, complete with enemy roll call, a trend I just love from the era. Well, that's Star Fox. Why didn't anybody tell me this game kicks ass? Whenever the series gets brought up online, you're often told to skip to its N64 entry, and while I've yet to play that, it's still a shame that the series' origins are usually glossed over. Is it the prettiest or most solid game ever? God no, you have eyes. I don't need to tell you that the game looks like a collection of kids' magnet toys, but that doesn't mean it's not worth checking out. It's a classic arcade-style game, a 1 hour in and out ordeal, and it tries its damn hardest that entire hour. You can practically feel the earnestness oozing out from the game, and that goes a long way. The game is, and I mean this in the most literal sense of the word, a classic. Hell, I only talked about the game's easy route, but there's a medium and hard one that I didn't talk about at all, solely because I want you to go out and play the game. And totally not because I play this game like complete dick. It's one of the SNES's best titles, and you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't check it out. Maybe one day I can play its critically acclaimed sequel, but I'm out of time for now. Did I mention the game has furries in it?